Great to have you on the show, Rahul.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're a very interesting marketeer, and Rahul, I know before we get into the topic, I know you have a very particular perspective on how brands tell stories. Start us off there, please.
Well, storytelling, at least this is my definition in the context of business, is really about wrapping up or packaging your value proposition in a humanized narrative, right? And for some reason, it is assumed that in the world of B2B where I come from, there is very little space to do that, to be able to create a narrative which talks not just to the brains of your customers, but to their hearts. But nothing can be far from the truth. In fact, I'm personally a huge fan of a storytelling format, which I call B2B2C, right? Which is really about telling your story from the perspective of your customer's customer, right? So the story is not about what we sold and what they bought. It is about the impact that they created in the lives of their customers and their employees. And really proud of a piece of work that our team created about 2 years back when SAP was completing 25 years of its inception in India, where we used this B2B2C format, and we looked at the changes that have happened in India in the previous 25 years, and it was just incredible to see the transformational change that had happened in sector after sector, right? So if you look at automotive, power utilities, multiple sectors, right? So we decided to tell the story. Let's say if you pick up automotive, right? In 1996, there were probably 2 car brands in India, and now the whole world is here. 8 out of 10 cars that run on Indian roads are manufactured by our customers. Okay, so that's the hard data point. But the story that we told was from the perspective of the first car buyer, Rajesh, who moved from his scooter to a car for the first time. We were there, right? So that's storytelling from the point of view of your customers. In fact, even today, our storytelling narratives are built on 2 broad pillars, right? One is sustainability, of course, and the other is customer success.
We'll get on sustainability. I'm going to push back a bit on you, Rahul, because we've met many marketeers who are B2B that will say it's all about enabling stories. But are your consumers buying that? It's all very well telling these stories, but are your consumers buying into these brand stories?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our business in the last, let's say, 3 or 4 or 5 years, I think the success that you've seen in markets like India is a testimony to the fact that those stories work. And as technology is becoming more and more commoditized, I think storytelling or differentiated storytelling is very, very important to be able to create a different position for yourself.
Well, and being in the market for 25 years, congratulations, by the way, gives you an advantage, right? More years, more stories.
Absolutely. I mean, globally, of course, SAP is 50 years old. In India, we are about 27 years.
I love it. It's a bit like the Queen, who has an official birthday and a real birthday. But let's get into sustainability. Pushback number 2, Rahul. Big tech businesses that have been around a long time. The skepticism lies in these fellows are now all talking a sustainability game, but they weren't like that 50 years ago. How do you tell authentic stories, Rahul?
Well, sustainability to start with for us. Is not a brand narrative, okay? It is actually embedded in everything that we do.
Yeah, it's not a story.
It's not a story.
Right.
But having said that, we've been, like I said, we've been in business for 50 years, right? And our customers are 500,000 businesses that are SAP customers are actually some of the most successful businesses. But do remember, they're also the biggest carbon emission contributors as well, right? So that gives us that ability. I mean, it's a natural progression for SAP because we've been in the business of improving processes for all of these customers. So for us to take those solutions to the market is one part of our story, which means our sustainability solutions, which fit into that entire portfolio, is one approach. But I think from a brand perspective, I think a more important approach is something that we call leading by example, where SAP tells the story of how a large multinational operating out of 160 companies, 100,000 employees, how we have managed to reduce our own carbon footprint over the last, in fact, we started our sustainability journey in 2009. So it's been 15 years, and for each of those 15 years, we've topped the Dow Jones Sustainability Index in our business category. And also, we are going to become carbon neutral in 2023, 2 years ahead of time. And by 2030, we intend to be net zero.
Well, that's awesome. And listening to you, it's really interesting because as an enabling brand, these sustainability stories not only inspire your downstream clients, but they also, of course, inspire other big businesses who may or may not be your clients. Rahul, you've been a fantastic guest on this show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jasper. My pleasure.